You're listening to The Sister Trill with Danae and Kiveli.
Hello and welcome back to The Sister Trill. I'm Danae.
And I'm Kiveli.
And today we will be talking about the power of rituals. Rituals in our everyday life, rituals that we have been doing for years, and also rituals in the more general sense.
Maybe also rituals that are a bit ridiculous and superstitious.
Exactly. But before we do that, we're going to talk about what we disagreed on this week. And there are a couple of things.
So actually it's not that much that we disagreed on stuff. It's more like we became aware of like some of the typical, maybe rituals that we do in a different way. One of them is, I would say, our shower routines. I generally tend to be more of a morning shower person. I just like it more. I mean, obviously it depends a bit on the day and the structure and everything, but I like showering in the morning, and you just tend to like showering in the evening more.
Yeah, I'd like to dive deep into this subject.
Oh boy. Okay. I don't feel very passionate about it. Like, I am very capable of also showering during the day or in the evening.
The reason why I say I want to discuss this a little bit is because you have to explain to me what the appeal is of showering in the morning, because let me just tell you my logic. Mm-hmm. My logic is that during the day, you obviously accumulate dirt. Mm-hmm. And then before I go into my warm, cozy, clean bed, I shower, get rid of all that dirt, ready to put on my clean pajamas, and then go to sleep. Now, if I go and shower in the morning, yes, I'm clean for the day, but then I go and sleep dirty in my bed. That's what I don't understand.
Well, the perspective I take on it, first of all, for me, it's also like the freshness that you feel in the morning. Like you feel like you're putting your best, cleanest foot forward in the morning. It's not for me. I mean, I've heard that it's like, it wakes me up in the morning. It's not that much that for me. It's more this feeling of like, oh no, I'm starting my day with like a little mini nice act for myself, showering, feeling clean and everything. For me, it's also, and that's like, it's like, I feel like when I shower in the morning, I'm also doing it a bit for all the people I'm encountering in the subsequent day. Like, the soap is still on my skin. I might still smell good, like something like that. But when I shower in the evening, it's more like I'm doing it for my bed, or I'm doing it like only for myself in a way. There's also an element of doing it for yourself in the morning. Yeah. But it's almost like, the peak freshness is wasted when you do it in the evening.
Interesting. Because I love that the peak freshness is in the bed. Where you have...
Right.
I think there's nothing nicer than a freshly made bed with clean sheets that are also super clean. And then you are clean.
I understand.
In that clean
I understand.
bed.
I understand.
I mean,
and to be honest, like many times I shower, especially when it's summer, you can also shower multiple times a day. Like if you don't take an extensive big shower of, it's just a super great. Like, especially if I think about in summer in Greece, like wake up, quick shower, you go to the beach, you swim, quick shower, you come back from a really sticky, like running up and down on the island situation. Quick shower. So, there is that obviously as well.
That's true.
But I think there is an element of, do you only shower for yourself, or do you shower for yourself and others in a way? Like this subconscious thing. And I feel like, for example, you definitely, before you go on a date, you shower. Right? Wouldn't you?
Yes, for sure.
You know what I mean?
I would, but I was just thinking of, how I shower before important events, and this is also kind of part of the rituals already.
Right.
But for example, before a concert, I have this ritual that I always shower the night before. I kind of never shower the morning of the concert because it's almost like something bad might happen if I do it.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, I always shower the night before, and I put my hair in a specific way that I sleep on. And then it looks nice the next day.
Let's get into that in the later part of this episode, because I have a very different routine there.
Interesting, yeah. Okay, so what I disagreed on with you this week was, I can think of two things right now. One thing was just very recent, because we were trying to start this podcast episode, and Kiveli over here was doing social media work.
God, yes.
Taking pictures.
All right, yeah.
Like a crazy person.
Yeah.
Which delayed us about 30 minutes starting this episode.
30 seconds, probably more than minutes.
Not 30 seconds.
Like
we took...
3 minutes. No. 3 minutes.
15. 15
4.
including everything. Posting, filters, taking the pictures,
4.
positions.
4.
Anyway, that was just a
4 and
little
a
thing
half.
that we disagreed on right now.
Under 5.
We wanted to start, and Kiveli took pictures for under 5 minutes.
Absolutely under 5 minutes.
No, but the more interesting disagreement was that we realized that we like different temperatures in our rooms.
Yeah.
Because as you might know, we live in the same house and obviously have separate rooms. And whenever I enter Kiveli's room, now that it's winter and it's pretty cold here in Germany, I realized that, first of all, it is so warm because you have the heating on 5, I think, basically, all the time.
4, but yeah.
Okay, 4 or 5.
Yes, but depends a bit, yeah.
So it's first of all super warm.
Yes.
But so the warmth for me is too high, but it's not what really throws me off. What throws me off is that the air is so dry.
Yeah, that's interesting because I just don't feel it that way. It's
I
not that I
feel
like
like-
dry air or something.
I feel like my throat closes.
That's interesting.
When
Because
I enter
the
your room
warmth-
and I cannot breathe freely.
Interesting. I mean, because the warmth I love, and I very consciously choose to keep it that
Yeah.
warm. And I've told you the reason why I like it warm is because generally I like as much as possible to not have to wear lots of like warmish clothes.
Yeah.
Like I don't necessarily like walking around in many layers. If I don't have to,
Yeah.
I love being barefoot. As soon as I can be barefoot, I love being barefoot. I love wearing, not long trousers, but short pants. And, as also like in the podcast, I many times also wear like short things. So I like that even if it's winter outside, when I come home, it's warm enough for me to easily be able to be barefoot and in summery, let's just say clothes or short clothes without me being cold.
Yeah.
I don't like having to wear layers at home,
But I still think that the rest of the house, which I would say has kind of a normal temperature, is also warm enough that you could walk around in a t-shirt. It's not
but
like
I mean,
you would be
I notice
freezing.
it. I mean, that's why I noticed that, I'm downstairs, I'm wearing like the outfit that I like wearing, that I feel comfortable in. And then I go up and I always at least take one hoodie with me to cover myself
Okay,
when I
yeah,
go
yeah,
up.
yeah.
Sometimes if I'm, for example, with the kids a lot upstairs, I'm going to change to a longer like leggings or something, which all doesn't matter. It's not at all bad. It's just like my choice would be to be able to be as like least clothes needed and still be super warm. And the side effect with the air, I just don't notice it. It just doesn't impact. Maybe it's
That's
because
interesting.
my body is so used to it.
Yeah.
But also like as I've heard it also from friends, when friends sleep over, I always turn down the heating or I open the window or something like that because they say they feel like they have a scratchy throat. So not
I
the
feel
first
like I
one
want
to say it.
cough
And
somehow.
it just doesn't impact me that way. On the contrary, I often feel, and I don't know why, because I know that medically it's like the opposite, that when I have the window open while it's sleeping, or I'm sleeping at other people's places that have like a core temperature that is lower, that's when I feel scratchy throat effect starting.
Interesting.
Which is very, I don't know.
It's just, it gets very dry, and then you want, for me, and then you want to cough.
Yeah.
Because the air has almost no humidity. Because
it's
the
interesting
heating is
because
on
it's
so
really
much.
not something that I absolutely need at all costs. Like I'm very capable of also just being a bit like, on a less temperature. But what totally like randomly what I just remembered is that when I used to live at home, like where we grew up, our mom was, not the biggest on heating through the night type situation. She always liked, being a bit more aware of turning down the heat when it wasn't like fully necessary. And the consequence of it would be, because she also didn't want to have like the heating too high, that when I'd be in my room, the last 2-3 years, it was very normal for me to like sit at the heating. Like I wouldn't sit at my desk. I would sit with my back to the heating and like have my laptop and do my work or anything like that.
I remember that.
And I remember it was so interesting because when it would get too hot, it would be like, this weird kind of having to balance it being super hot. But I just love this feeling of being like at my heat, like literally like leaning against the heater.
By the way, I just want to give you one thought, because I recently watched a documentary where they said the top three things that we can change in our everyday life to save our climate. And
turning down the heat.
Number 1 is meat, how much meat you
Yeah.
eat. Number 2 is how much you heat your house. And what was number 3? God, I forgot number 3. But it was also something like oh, of course, transport.
like not flying.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe we should be more
Right.
environmentally conscious.
No, and
Just
it's
saying.
not, as I said, it's not like the thing that I absolutely need, Like if I were to at some point be in a relationship and the
course.
guy would be like, I can't, fine, let's put it down.
yeah.
I can't wear another layer. It's just like my choice or how
Of
I
course.
feel the most comfortable in or something. Yeah.
So those were our disagreements this week.
Exactly. All right.
Very important topics.
So let's get into the ritual. So the interesting thing is that this episode, like we decided to record it quite spontaneously because your kids are currently at their grandmother's. So we've been having like a 24-hour situation alone. And as it always is when we are alone for 24 hours, we've been like talking non-stop about all types of different memories and topics.
Conversation flow.
Exactly.
Kind of.
And we were stumbling upon 2 conversations actually that we thought, that might actually make an interesting podcast episode. And one of them was like this, I would say like the occurrence of everyday rituals or maybe a bit like also more intense rituals, what ours are, and the fact that, we also have some different ones. Like, so I don't know how you want to start off to like organize this a bit more.
Maybe we want to start off by, talking about the power of a ritual. Because I find it very interesting that the ritual in the beginning, to me, is something, a place of safety.
Yeah.
A place that calms me down, that centers me. If I think of, when did I do rituals when I was younger? It was always in moments where I felt nervous or where I was afraid. I would have this ritual that would ground me.
Yeah.
For example, before a concert. And I would be like, okay, it's going to go well because I put the score under my pillow. Because I'm wearing my special concert tights or my special concert underwear. Because I had a very specific breakfast. All these things.
I think that, the 2 things come to mind. The first thing is that there is a difference between, I would say, superstitious rituals, like, for example, the special concert underwear. And I would say sensible ritual, sensible acts.
Like breathing exercise,
No,
for
not breathing.
example.
I'm also thinking about, I don't know, like, for example, the fact that you put your hair in a certain way that you just, before the concert, it is because then your hair actually looks better on the concert. It's like, it's you'd have to do it anywhere, but going through the motions of that kind of, it's like, okay, I'm getting back into this frame of mind. So there are also rituals that, are just things that you need to do, but because you're doing them in a certain way or you do it only in a certain situation, it gets a kind of ritualistic character. And then the last category is almost like where is the line between ritual and just habit, that a good habit has a kind of more ritualistic feel to it. And maybe you can introduce good habits by coming to them from a perspective of a ritual. Like that's what I've noticed
I
sometimes
feel like
helps me.
when I was younger, whenever I had a positive experience with something that was hard, so let's say a positive concert experience, then I would just take whatever I did on that day and just make it my ritual because that must have been right. So if I had an amazing concert and that day I ate this and that, then this is what I was going to eat the next time.
Of course.
Before the concert. I feel like, especially when I was younger, to me these rituals, of course, had a superstitious element. And they came from a place of not being sure also
trying
of my
to take
abilities.
control of something probably, right?
Not believing so much in my abilities that I knew I could do it without the ritual. And for me, especially concerning those rituals, it was a very important process to let go of them at some point. I remember how much in control I felt and how I felt like I reclaimed my power the first time that I did not put the score under my pillow before a concert, because I told myself, okay, this feels a little bit scary, but I know that I can do it even without.
Interesting. I often, because I felt on the one hand, of course, the sense of like, safety or control. But I remember that especially when talking about, which we can go through the rituals that we used to go through before concerts when we were younger, I remember also feeling very pressured by them. Especially because
like
some
if
of
they
them
didn't go well.
No, not if it didn't go well. Like I felt like this like very dysfunctional relationship to them. Like if I didn't do them, my bad conscience would get the best of me. And also because some of them I didn't feel like I chose, but they were kind of imposed maybe also. Or like, for example, I remember one thing that I hated and like this was the ritual that if we had a concert, we were not going to listen to any music that wasn't the piece we were going to play in the days coming up to the concert,
Yeah,
right? So
or
like
on the concert day, right?
Well, no, it started with like 3-4 days before, and then it was on the concert day. And I remember like, because I always loved listening to all types of music, you know, that I felt was very restrictive. I did not necessarily believe that, you know, it helped me on stage. And I remember, however, that once I did start doing that, I had got such a like bad conscious feeling, and I was so guilty for doing it. So like I felt a bit pressured by that ritual. Another one that
can I just comment on that? Because for me, I remember that ritual, and I felt very much like I needed to only listen to the concert piece.
Right.
And to the point that I remember when I started traveling to concerts alone, and I would be, for example, in a taxi, or a driver would take me from point A to point B, and there would be music in the car, I would ask them to turn it off. Because I
remember that. I remember that phase. Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
And then I remember the first time that I thought to myself, okay, I'm just not going to ask them, and I tried to like, you know, not listen.
In your mind,
in my mind, and then slowly, of course, I went away.
So maybe let's talk first. Like, let's just share the ones that we remember. Actually, like some of our usual rituals. I would say back when we were like
very
early
young.
teenagers, early teenage years playing concerts. Like here are the ones that I remember. There was the one, the music, not listening to music on the days before the concert. Then obviously there was the one where we would put the score of the pieces we would play in the concert under our pillows. Then there was the concert tights, which was, I would say, one of the most ridiculous ones, because those concert tights literally were more holes than there were actual like
we say
tights.
That it's ridiculous because from today's perspective it's completely ridiculous, but I've talked to so many fellow musicians that have had the exact same things. And I was just recently talking to someone, and he said yes, he had concert underwear, he had concert socks.
Sure.
So
It's
I mean, everyone has
but
it.
the ridiculous aspect of it, I mean, I know, it's just that those tights were, I mean, literally they didn't have any
fabric.
Thank you. Any fabric. They didn't have any fabric on them anymore. It was just, you know, an amalgamation of many holes. So that's why I say it was ridiculous. Then there was obviously the concert dress. At that point, we only had like 1 or 2 actual concert attire dresses for each person that went with the concert lip gloss. Once we started wearing lip gloss, the concert bra. Once we said like the concert everything,
concert outfit.
Concert outfit. So and then. Obviously, that we had this weird ritual where we would, where we would like hype each other up. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Where and
I mean,
by the way,
I don't think that's weird at all.
No, but
it
what
was
we would say is
basically
weird.
something.
Do you remember
like,
what we would say?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I mean,
mean,
I don't want to swear in the podcast, but we would basically say we would, you know, F all the others.
And I mean the others, there were no others.
No, there were no others, but I don't think it's weird. It's hyping yourself up to feel that you are the best.
I would like to say
moment.
what we would do is one of us, and it doesn't matter who, would ask, what are we going to do? And the other one is going to do, we're going to F over the other, or F over the other, or F everyone else or something.
Yeah.
And then there was like some more to it. I forgot the
I also don't remember exactly, but I mean the idea was, you know.
Who is the best? We are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, what are we? We're the best. That's it, exactly.
Yeah.
And the whole
but
thing
I
in
think
Greek,
it's a very
obviously.
understandable, you know, hype. It's in a way what many artists or pop stars, you know, say before they go on stage. You know, we're the best. We can do this. You know.
It's just I find it so interesting because our personalities are so, I would say, you know, humbly oriented
to that.
When it comes to the stage, not like generally, well, also generally, but so that what we would say is generally is literally, what are we gonna do? We're gonna F everybody. Who are we? We're the best. You know, it's so.
But it's interesting because when you go on stage, this is what you have to feel. You have to feel very humble, and you also have to feel like you are the best.
No, I know.
To
it's
perform.
just I wonder how that came about, because I remember we would always go like behind a curtain.
Yeah, so that nobody can see us.
And then we would do this.
Well, another ritual we had, or at least I remember this, was what we had for breakfast. Like I always had muesli on a concert day. There was no other breakfast that I had on a concert day. So that definitely was one.
Yeah. I remember at some point it came about that I would always have pasta on the concert day. And then I think toughest ritual for me, because this one was really one that I decided for myself when it came out of the greatest insecurity, was that it was right around the time where I was really struggling with stage fright, and I was really struggling with like, getting my confidence on stage. And the reason why it was so tough is because it was so time consuming, is that for a couple of years, like in the last hour before the concert, I would mentally play through all the pieces I would play on stage. Not necessarily, also slowly, yes, but I mean like mentally, literally picture every note, every place, every piece. And I mean, this would take obviously as much, if not more time than the ensuing concert. Yeah. And I remember like if I didn't do that, I would get so guilty, and I would sit there all the time, and start doing it. And also I didn't like doing it because it reminded me of, like it wasn't like I'm getting into the mood. It was a panic, not panic, but it was it came out of like this insecure place of, okay, maybe if I do it in my mind before, I'm better prepared on stage.
Of course,
and, this type of thing. And
it's a very high pressure ritual to do right before the concert.
Especially, let's not forget that if it's much harder to play through a piece mentally, because you don't have the support of the muscle memory area of your brain, because you're doing it completely by thought, right? So not many times, but it would happen that sometimes I would go through and then I would suddenly
you'd be stuck.
Yeah. I'd be suddenly be stuck, which wouldn't have happened if I would have had the muscle memory support area, right? So then of course your insecurity is like, oh my God, do I have to look at the score again? You're doing it again, like, deep breaths, you can do it, you do it again, you get through the play. So it was kind of, the thought was, if I can do it this way, I can do it on stage with a muscle memory. But it was not a pleasant time. Like, I was very happy when I stopped doing that.
I think what is interesting now to talk about is how do you break away from the unhealthy rituals and create healthy rituals that are actually helpful, and also the power of that. I kind of already, touched on that before when I said, how empowering it felt to break free from certain rituals. And I can still very much remember the moments where I broke these rituals. It was quite late on, actually. I stopped putting the score under my pillow when I was like 19 or 20 years old, and things like that. And for me, it was so important to stop doing that and to really I really told myself, I play well on stage, not because I do that, but because I've practiced, because I'm prepared, and to really reclaim that power. And then I did develop some new rituals or kept some old rituals that I felt just got me into the mood. For example, one of those is applying the makeup onto my face before I go on stage. That's something, and, fixing my hair, right before I go on stage. That's something that I do really so shortly before I go on stage, like 5 minutes before.
Yeah.
I'm someone that gets ready very, very late before going on stage.
Me too.
I like to just be in my normal clothes and then really 5 to 10 minutes before the concert, I get dressed, I put on my makeup, I do my hair. It's very fast. And in those 5 to 10 minutes, I really feel how I'm getting into the zone. There's nothing about I'm scared to do it a certain way. It's not like I have to do it in a certain order.
Yeah.
I just do it while thinking, and this is kind of what I've developed, thinking of the beginning of the piece.
But that's what I mean, by the way, with it's a ritual that's not superstitious, but it's attached to something that you have to do anyway. It's more like a necessary thing you got to do, and you're attaching a certain atmospheric or internal feeling to it, and it becomes it has a bit of the character of a ritual. Because I have, like, for me, because we were talking about like the showering thing, so I've got like a couple of rituals when it comes to like showering in concerts now. The first thing is, if I arrive at the hotel on the evening before, which of course doesn't happen many times, I also arrive on the same day, right? But if I arrive on the evening before and the room has a bath, I'll take a bath.
Interesting.
Because I'm not a bath taker at all. Like, I mean, we have a bath in our home. I think the last time I took a bath was like a year ago or something here. But if there is a bath in the hotel, if I come, I usually arrive at the hotel around 9:30 or 10 in the evening, and I'm going to run a bath, like a huge bubble bath, make it like super nice and cozy, and I'm going to just go in there and soak and have like that vibe type of thing. And so that's one ritual I do. If there is a shower and not a bath, then I'm not going to do that. Only if there is a bath. And then on the day of the concert, I always try to take a shower in the face. You know how like we'd practice in the morning and then you go back to the hotel. You chill there and then you go for like the concert portion of the day, right? In that like chilling moment, I'll always oh wait, I'll try to take a nap, like a 20-minute power nap. And then I'll take a shower, and with taking that shower, get into like the freshest I can be, because nap plus shower for me equals okay, like super peak freshness of the day. And then, you know, like that's like that part of the ritual.
Yeah. No, for me, I always take a shower the night before. Yeah. I put my hair into a braid and then it's there and that's that. Then I don't take a shower again on the concert day. One thing that I do like, but again, if I don't have it, it's also not the end of the world, is eating some chocolate before I go on stage. Like something sweet, because I feel like I get this energy kick.
I don't really have that much food. I mean, I might do that sometimes, like many times, you know, organizers have chocolate backstage anyway. So I'll partake in that. In terms of like just before the concert, I'm also more on the late getting prepared, like getting ready side. I don't like being in my concert clothes half an hour before, kind of just chilling there, because it also kind of, you know, elevates weird feelings. What I like doing, especially before important concerts, is brushing my teeth backstage. I like brushing my teeth literally in the last 5 to 10 minutes, because like this fresh feeling in my mouth.
I also know many people that do that.
So good. So I like brushing my teeth before. Makeup wise and like hair wise, generally I don't have like that much. I think I tend to put a bit more makeup than you anyway, so it might take me just a bit longer, but not that much more. And then especially when it's a very, very important concert, and like when I know that like my nerves are heightened, what I like doing is, I already told you this once, is I like to sit down on my, like on backstage and on a chair, or walk around, but like, you know, get really calm and think to myself, go to the place in your mind and your heart where the music comes from. Like I try to picture the area of my mind that creates the music. You know, I'm very aware that there is, you know, the area that, for example, thinks about technique. There is the area that, you know, thinks about the perception of how I look or something. And then there is the area in my mind that is pure energy and emotion and like musicality in a way. And I try to like, there is even like, I have this picture in my mind where it is like, probably wrongly, like I have an image, and I try to symbolically imagine like me walking into that room of my mind, being completely consumed by that perspective, the music making perspective. And then like, especially as I said, this is like, I don't do that if it's like, you know, a lesser pressure concert, because it comes automatically if it's a lesser pressure concert. But if the pressure is high and it's very easy to get distracted by other factors, I try to like, you know, be in that vibe the entire time.
For me, that vibe is what I do to get into that vibe. Is I just think of the beginning of the piece. This is something that I really developed over the years, because I used to think of the hard passages. I used to go through those in my head, or go through them slowly or whatever. And I've realized that what I need is to be in the headspace of where I'm going to start, because I feel like the beginning is the hardest and also the trickiest, because if you mess up the beginning, that's not good. And if it's good, then you already have a confidence boost on stage.
Yes.
So I really feel like this beginning needs to be good. So I really focus on that beginning. If I have an instrument in my dressing room, I will play through the beginning 1 or 2 times, and then I'm really in my musical space, thinking of the character of that beginning, and my posture, everything is in the character of that beginning. And something interesting is I always pace. I always walk up and down. I never sit. I feel like I'm going to sit on stage. So I don't like the feeling of sitting. I always pace, and I feel like I got this from our dad, because I know that he paces a lot when he's thinking, and you know, when he's on a business call or generally on the phone, he's pacing. And I always do that as well. When I'm on a difficult call or on a stressful call, I start pacing. Just literally in a room, I start walking in circles.
Call-wise, I do it as well.
And thinking, I start pacing. And if I'm having a difficult discussion with somebody, like
you pace.
An actual, you know, fight or whatever conversation, then even if that person is sitting, I start pacing around the room and talk, and I start walking. And it's so funny that, because I've seen that now, my kids also do that. And when they, you know, pretend to be on the phone, they like start pacing in the room from one side to the other, like doing it. So I think it's a generational thing that is going on.
I have two thoughts. One is actually maybe like almost like a remnant of a superstitious, it's not that much a ritual, it's more of like a thought pattern, which is that I'd had, when I was much younger, 2 very bad experiences on stage where I like the way I see it now is kind of, I knew that I was nervous, but I was trying to pretend like I wasn't, towards myself, not towards others. Like I was trying to pretend like, obviously, like I've played it 1 million times in the practice room without any issues. Like, why should I be nervous? Obviously it's going to go well, you know? So I've had, and this happened like twice in performances where that ended up, you know, like I was on stage and like unraveling. And I have this mini alarm bell that when I notice that I'm too like you know not nervous, like too uninfluenced by the fact that I'm going to go on any stage, you know, whether it is in front of a lot of people with but when I'm just too like taking it easy, that I'm like, remember, like you know, it's still a stage, it's still a concert.
I totally understand.
So there is that, and whenever also I notice that, like I have this thing like, there's nothing wrong about acknowledging your feelings of pressure or nerves, because you can acknowledge them, you can look them in the eye and then turn them into this that works for you, you know? Like this pretending that everything is easy peasy, I'm very careful with that. And the other thing, which is more of a like positive thing also, is that I've come to understand that for a while, because I came to that when we were talking about the beginnings, I had this vision that, you know, like, you know, a really good concert, the comfort starts from the beginning in a way, you know, and like or if there is discomfort in the beginning, taking that as an alarm, but like, oh my God, will I be uncomfortable the entire concert? And at this point, I already know, I go on stage knowing the first few minutes will feel, you know, I'm going to have to get used again to the stage situation. Like even if you play a concert every day, the first few minutes, it's like, okay, this is my new reality for the next 1.5 hours.
And ideally, you will get into the comfort zone subsequently. Also, not always. But in the ideal dream scenario, after a couple of minutes, you'll feel at home.
Many times, you get, maybe not in the sweet spot of comfort, but you get more comfortable, obviously, as the minutes, as time passes, you know? So many times, like in the beginning, when I'm having like, you know, these weird mini moments, and if you have them as well, like when you start playing something on stage and you're starting to to look at yourself from the top and you're like, I'm playing right now, I'm being looked at, you know? Like these mini moments, you know? When I have that, I'm like, of course I'm having them. It's totally normal. Like this is nothing to be worried about. It is what it is. And then a couple of minutes later, like, you know, it changes a bit.
Exactly. Yeah. I think what would be interesting now is to move away from all these, you know, superstitious related something difficult rituals, and maybe talk a little bit about those types of rituals that are actually very positive rituals, because it's when positive habits become rituals and are thus incorporated into your life.
Right.
Because, for example, I'm thinking now of that I do yoga every morning is kind of a ritual that I've incorporated into my life. And, you know, this saying where people very often say, if you want to do something daily, then make it a ritual.
Yes.
You know, make it part of your routine.
Yes.
And I think that might be quite interesting, because it's something that doesn't naturally feel like a ritual, but if you make it one, then it's...
By the way, because you mentioned yoga, you know, the only time I do yoga, I forgot to say that, is before a concert.
Really?
And it came about actually because of also an advice you gave me, because I've, you know, the one issue I have a bit is with my back. If I practice a lot and I play a lot, like I start feeling a bit of pain in my back. So before concerts, and it's funny because I kind of do it literally like the seconds before I go on stage. So I'm usually already wearing heels and I'm like in my concert outfit, and I do like this warrior 1-2 position type of situation, because it's really nice for my back. And I usually do it just before I go on stage, and I do it again in the intermission, because I just feel like it, and it really does help my back.
It does
if
help.
I do it.
I also feel like it helps. I sometimes do it in a practice break.
Yeah. Also, of course, if I'm like practicing and I feel like, oh my God, it's hurting, I do that. Although now when I'm at home, I've switched it also with like some TRX fitness exercises that are for the back that also help me. But sorry, just a big small tangent.
So for me personally, I'm thinking of, for example, yoga routine or any type of fitness routine, you know, that you might have. For me, it's yoga in the morning, or also a big one is the journaling. you know, that I
course.
do.
I know.
The 5-minute journal.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. Have I mentioned? I must have mentioned it
You
already.
have in the
on
Idol
podcast.
episode.
In the Idol episode, yeah. Basically, you journal for really just a couple of minutes in the morning, and you just write down what you're grateful for, and 3 great things that are going to happen during the day. And then in the evening, you journal again and write down 3 great things that did happen, and then what you want to do better on the next day.
To, you know, start the day through the filter of gratitude.
Yeah, not through the filter of gratitude. It's not a filter.
Focus on gratitude.
It's exactly. It's what you focus on, and it's supposed to be like a toothbrush of your mind. So you clean your mind of all the negativity, because our mind is actually programmed in a way that it always automatically remembers the bad things that happen. And it's true. If I think about how I lie in bed at night and I go through the day, I will remember the one really annoying thing that happened and not focus on the 10 good things that happened. So you're trying to refocus, shift your focus and focus on the
I mean, I would say a
positive
classic ritual that probably most people have, I definitely have it, is coffee in the morning.
Coffee in the morning,
you know, like
brushing
waking
your
up.
teeth.
Right, brushing your teeth.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I have, I mean, if you will, quite like breaking it down, usually what I do, I wake up, I go to the bathroom, I brush my teeth, I like, put some creams on my face and my body, and then I go up, I make myself eggs sunny side up, and a coffee. And I feel very good, you know?
Yes, and this is a good start to the day.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think that in that context, it is important to decide for yourself, you know, what is important to you, what is of value to you. And if you know what it is, then make it into a ritual. Be it physical fitness, be it, for example, which for me is something quite important, meals with the family. You know, I remember growing up that I felt like I always knew when I had a family, it would be important to me that we eat together at the table and talk about the day. And for example, this is something that I really feel I'm missing when we don't do that on a day. So I feel like meals with the family is a big one for me, or generally, you know, this time where I'm speaking now specifically about my kids, of course, where there is a moment where the family kind of comes together and we can talk about things. They're still not very young, but I can imagine that when they're a bit older, we can do something like a weekly actual family meeting where we discuss whatever everyone wants to discuss. You know, this is something that I feel would be a priority for me. And I think it can be very helpful whenever you feel like something is missing in your life or you want to do more of something, just make it a ritual. Even if it's a date night
because
once
I mean,
a week.
Yeah, because I mean, a ritual also, like the idea that you're partaking in a ritual always elevates the, I would say, meaning that you give a certain practice. And I think meaning is something that we all instinctively like, you know, to add meaning and value to our lives. So by making something appear maybe more meaningful than it actually is, by attaching a more ritualistic vibe to it, obviously helps a lot, you know. And
also, if you're doing intentional things, like we have something that we like to call the inspirational corner in our house, where you can you can pick a tarot card, or you can just pick an inspirational card that has just one word, like, or for example, creativity, or something like this that it says on it, or a quote, exactly. And then you can take it as an inspiration for the day. And this is actually not something that we do every day, but we do it every now and then, and it also is something so simple, but it gives you inspiration.
Exactly. I think many times, and I think that that's also more a thought on like all these, you know, superstitious-y, like tarot cards would be one, or going to like some sort of reading of a kind or anything. Even like, you know, the value of astrology, which let's just say we're all a bit skeptical of, like, you know, the whole I'm a Pisces, that's why this and this and that, is the fact that many times what is even more important than a specific direction is that you even have a direction rather than no direction, an orientation, a perspective on something. Many times what's missing from our lives is not that we've chosen wrong directions, but that we've chosen no direction.
And you know, especially on that, I'm sometimes so jealous. I really find myself being actually really, truly jealous of people who, you know, really live in their faith. Because I don't really live in my faith. I mean, I don't live in a faith at all, to be honest. And if I think about the power and the strength that they draw from whatever, I mean, depending on how they live. Yeah. But for example, from praying, from doing the ritual of praying, what kind of safety it gives them.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Or, from going to church every Sunday, for example, for them, this really heals them. It gives them so much strength to go through hard and difficult moments where I feel like, okay, what am I going to do now? They're just going to turn to prayer and are going to find new energy in that.
Yeah, and I think in a way, and I mean that's a bit of a different thought, but it comes up immediately, is by you don't have to find your personal right answer or your personal right coping mechanisms for many issues, because there are already kind of very clear and like rules and guidelines and coping mechanisms. Like, for example, things like confession,
Right.
How do you get rid of your guilt? You go to confession. You don't, have to actually go through the whole rigmarole of, okay, why did I do it? How can I repent for it in a way that, is going to make me...
supposedly that's what you do after confession. But
repenting, I mean, not that knowledgeable on it, is like, praying on your knees 3 more extra minutes, you know what I mean? And it's, I come back to thinking sometimes about this one quote. I don't remember who said it. I think it was Mike Tyson who said it. Something like that: faith or religion makes you sometimes do the right things for the wrong reasons, which is, I think, is an interesting perspective. I mean, the wrong reasons being you doing it not because you think it's right, but because someone tells you to do it, but what you're ultimately doing is functionally good in your life, you're doing right things.
I just think it's
but I totally understand what you mean. Like, and by the way, I have to say that for me, the theme of one of the last episodes, the whole shamanic journeying thing, which is a very, very time-consuming and ritual that a big part of why it works so well for me, despite all the like psychedelic things that we spoke about, is because it is a time-consuming, long, meaning elevated ritual that has as a target a very specific orientation, which is your intention, So that is for sure one big ritual that I'm a big fan of. And I'm a fan of many of these like symbolic rituals. Another one that immediately comes to mind where we disagree, kind of, is wedding.
I was also just thinking of that, wedding. I mean, what do you mean we disagree? Well, I don't disagree on the ritual of wedding.
I want one.
Yeah.
And you don't.
I find that it is fake. It is a charade.
A wedding is a celebration of something positive. It's a celebration of love.
You're listening to The Sister Drill with Danae and Kiveli.